Capstone Project Paper by Stephen D. Heiser, Ohio Christian University, 07-15-2019. To begin, the start is Capstone Project Paper Abstract. Today's presentation is to explain the importance of secular theory and Christian-based counseling. One of the most important things to remember before we dig too far into this presentation, these two approaches are similar but do differ on some key issues. This presentation also helps describe the different dimensions in our human lives and as they pertain to the needs we all have. So what is Christian-based counseling? According to Therapy Tribe, they stated that the definition of what Christian-based counseling is as follows. Christian counseling, also known as biblical counseling and Christian psychology, combines your faith with the principles of psychology to improve your mental health and relationships. More specifically, this therapy approach uses scripture and biblical teachings to help you deal with life challenges. So that's one neat thing about Christian-based counseling is it does actually combine normal counseling with your faith, so it tries to incorporate both. So what exactly does Christian-based counseling bring you? Christian-based counseling actually allows the discussion of not only our own moral credit, but allows us to better accept others for who they are, not judge them before we even really get to know them, and also, but more importantly, treating them with the same levels of respect that we would expect in return. They always tell you that respect is earned, not given. It's very easy to lose than to get back. Christian counseling is even more important for the counselor because it allows the counselor to become and remain responsible, very capable, culpable, and proper accountability for their decisions and their actions when it comes to the person. So it's very crucial that that counselor learns to understand that person as an individual in order to better suit their needs. This will also help prepare the client if that particular client has any special needs or issues. The counselor will be better prepared along with the actual client. With Christian-based counseling being faith-based, it also brings a stronger clarification to the problems that are at hand for the client. One of the biggest things we learn in Christianity is that we are to be held accountable for our own actions and take responsibility for those actions. So it's never wise to advise a client to ignore the issues and hope they go away. Most of us know issues don't just go away even if you act like they did. At a personal perspective, Christian counseling, my personal perspective, as read here, on Christian-based counseling is that it brings a better sense of comfort to the table for the client. This form of counseling also promotes the strong and smart decisions for the client in question. Additionally, it promotes the client to make smart and wise decisions, but to more importantly, own up to their own actions, as stated earlier on the last slide. People often will look for things to blame for their misfortune and turn to things such as alcohol, drugs, or other forms of destructive life decisions in order to cope. It's never wise to ignore an issue either. We can find at times it may be easier at first to ignore the problems, but just like we all know, as a little white lie, for example, these lies tend to roll into bigger problems and usually end in a snowball of disaster type ending. One of the key points of my presentation is the 4 dimensions of human life, which goes into play for the therapy. According to Scripture, there are 4 different dimensions to our lives that most of us may not even have been aware of. What's intriguing about these is that we already know them, we just don't realize that they're a part of our life. So let's go more into detail and elaborate and help clarify the statement. The 4 dimensions that we're going to be discussing is physical beings with bodily needs, social beings with relationship needs, psychological beings with cognitive needs, and spiritual beings with a need for God. As this picture illustrates, to leave a legacy, spiritual. To learn is mental. To love is emotional. To live is physical. And those are the 4 dimensions of our human lives. The first dimension of human life, physical beings with bodily needs. Naturally, your body has to have substance in order to survive. So we all need to eat. We all need to drink. And this all plays into hand in hand with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These biological bodily needs are as follows: food for nourishment, water for hydration, shelter for safety and comfort, clothing also for safety and comfort, warmth for safe and comfort, sleep for rest and relaxation, and sex for the emotional need and desire. Now, the second dimension of human life, this is the second form of human life, which we are beings with relationship needs. These issues actually can cause many people to go into a deep depression or very happy for a time in their life. Because they can either become happy, suicidal, or simply feel lonely if these needs are not met. These also additionally go along with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as well as he states that we need friendship, intimacy, trust, acceptance, receiving, and giving affection and love. Affiliating, which is being part of a group such as a family, friends, or work. We all have groups that we're all a part of. They're all important to our lives. We don't realize how important they are until they disappear. Your parents have always told you, you don't realize what you have until you've lost it. So hold on to what's dear to you. This leads us into the third dimension of human life, which are we are psychological beings with cognitive needs. These needs are very specific and do strongly relate to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's funny how often this type of therapy can relate to his needs. And according to Maslow, the cognitive needs, as according to him, are that we have a desire to know, understand, and solve issues. We're very logical people. People with strong cognitive needs are often described as curious and inquisitive. So basically, we are kind of like that statement, curiosity killed the cat. We're very curious. Human beings always have the desire to learn. But Maslow also believed that the cognitive needs are blocked. All the cognitive needs on the hierarchy needs are threatened. So if you don't reach the relationship, emotional standpoint, every level of the hierarchy is threatened. Hence, knowledge is imperative to satisfying each of our cognitive needs. According to eNotes, which is one of the sources I use, it says that in order to meet psychological needs, a person must know how to attain food and shelter. So we have to meet our basic needs. And for the fourth and final dimension of human life, it actually relates to our spiritual desire and the need to find God. This brings a sense of comfort that you are denied if you are someone who doesn't believe in the existence of Christ or a higher power. Depending on your beliefs, here are Bible verses that can relate to this and desire. Isaiah 26:9, At night my soul longs for you, indeed my spirit within me seeks you diligently, for when the earth experiences your judgments, the inhabitants of the world learn righteousness. 1 Thessalonians 2:17, But we, brethren, having been taken away from you for a short while in person, not in spirit, were all more eager with great desire to see your face. 1 Timothy 3:1, It is a trustworthy statement. If any man aspires to the office of overseer, it is a fine work he desires to do. 1 Peter 2:2, Like newborn babies, long for the pure milk of the word, so that by it you may grow in respect to salvation. And finally, 1 Corinthians 14:1, Pursue love, yet desire earnestly spiritual gifts, but especially that you may prophecy. Secular counseling is another important concept we'll briefly go over. According to Counseling Moment, they say the secular counseling was as follows. While there are hundreds of different secular approaches to counseling, they have all two central features in common. First, secular counseling depends upon human reason and research to answer life questions about people, problems, solutions. Biblical counseling depends upon scriptural revelation to build a comprehensive, compassionate, culturally informed approach to who we are, what went wrong, and how to solve the issues of the soul. Now, secular ethics is another important part of this when it comes to counseling. Secular ethics is based around the moral philosophy in which the ethics are solely based on human faculties such as logic, empathy, reason for moral intuition that is not derived from supernatural revelation or guidance, which is the source of ethics in many religions. I feel that one of the biggest issues we have when it comes to my own personal perspective in this theory is that it promotes the honesty within the individual. This form of counseling actually promotes the person owning up to their own decisions and their own actions and landed them in the position that they are in. Sounds pretty similar to Christian-based counseling. The only difference you can find yourself in when you relate into these two is that Christian-based counseling is very religiously based. This is not based on religion, but it does have very similar situations, which I did mention earlier in the presentation. And the main difference and what set them apart, but the ending as a result is the same. So in the end, as long as you're doing right by the client and you notice all the things that need to be fixed, you notice that even though you're not using Christian-based methods, the desire is and the end is the same. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed my presentation. I know it's late. I really appreciate you listening. And you guys all have a good night.